Jay, how many Deadly Dozen races have you done so far? Track races?
Oh wow! So actual official ones?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, because I've done the Deadly Dozen about 5,000 times, unofficially testing the thing. But I've done what is it, about three or four, because I did it when I went to Texas. So I did a couple of races in the UK. Oh no, I did one in the UK, which was the end of season. But last year was a write-off for me because I tore my calf. Then I went and did Texas. I've done a couple this year, 2 or 3 this year. Did I do one abroad anywhere else? I'm not sure.
Did Texas, didn't you?
Did Texas.
Yeah.
Did this year's been a much better year racing. Obviously finished with the ruck. So I've done it about five or six times. Done a pairs race as well.
Yeah, well, I'm coming at it from a completely different side. I've done it once now. And my fascination with any type of racing is, right, how do you get this right? So the way that I look at racing, you're probably the same. We see a lot of people there first time, trying to just beat the race, trying to get to the end of the race. And there's a tactics with that. But there's also people there racing it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get your insights on the best approach to each. So what we're going to do, we're going to break this down into perhaps 5 or 6 videos, and we're going to go through the race bit by bit, and I'm going to get your unique take on what it is to get through the race, to get to the end of the race, and get to the end of the race as quick as possible. And that will involve perhaps tactics, rests where you need to. But you know the race the best. So we're going to break it down. So starting with that first run. So we're going to break it down to run and then labour. So starting with that first run. How do you approach that first run?
So the bottom line is it's key to differentiate between solos and pairs. If you're a pair and you're competitive, you're going to go in hot from the start, and everything is going to be. If you want to break records as a pair, you're going in hot from the start, full pelt all the way through. Solo's a different ball game, and even if you are world class, you're going to have to pace. And yeah, pairs may pace, but not really. They're going to go in hot. So first run is always key to understand. You might be someone that likes to go out faster. Some people do, but it's always key to understand that your power output is almost like because you've not really elevated your breathing yet. It feels easy. So your first 400 of the day, you'll go out at a pace. Maybe you'll be running like a 3-minute K pace. You know, it'll be like a 1 minute 400 pace, and you'll be like, at first, you feel fine. It's almost like your heart and lungs have to catch up and realise, oh wow, we're needed. And it's like that oxygen debt. So you start running, you can sort of almost hold your breath for the first 100 metres and feel fine, can't you?
You can chat.
You can run and chat, and you're like, whoa, nothing's happening. And all of a sudden your body realises, well, I need oxygen. And you've got that debt and you don't pull it back. And the best way to illustrate that is say to someone, right, run a 400 as fast as you can, and then go into a circuit session. And it doesn't just take a couple of minutes to recover, it could write off that entire session. So number one rule, especially with Deadly Dozen, with it being the longest sprint and it being one loop of the track, the temptation is to go off hot, is go off steady. Not too steady. If you want a good time, you're going to have to get all your 400 splits consistent, or at least get good times on every 400. But do not go in hot. That first 400 can ruin your entire race.
Absolutely. So I know, coming from a sort of runner's background, you come into the race and the gun goes and you go. And you hold on. Now, if you are coming at the race from a running background, that's going to be your take to it. I spoke to the guys at Running Bear. That's the way that they went at it. Now, I watch you when you race. You just take the edge off a little bit. Is that coming from experience, or is there a scientific element to that?
It's both, It's both. I think there's a big element of me coming from combat sports where I never pace myself. I never spoke about pacing. Every time, in combat sports, you run a lot. Every run I did was hard. And if it wasn't hard, I was like, and there's no concepts of zone 2 when I was a kid doing, it was just run hard, run as fast as you can all the time. And there was really, actually, I take that back, boxers are famous for doing essentially zone 2, like long, steady runs, but mine were never like that. Mine were just, everything I did was hard. And even in the military, when I was in the cross-country team, it was go hard. And the best races I've ever had, I've always started slow. So for me, although I won't often do it because of lack of discipline and excitement, and I'll go off hot, peer pressure, like a Deadly Duel, it's someone's next year, you go off hot. But I know the best races I will have personally will always be a slower start.
Yeah.
Let the body warm up. So I actually think everyone is different in their physiology, and I think I actually do take a lot. Even though you'll joke with me that I don't warm up often, even though I've published a book on warming up, and I never warm up. But I actually think I take longer to warm up because when I go running 5K, 10K, I realise I'm like, this first K I'm not feeling great. Like it can take me a K, and then after the first K or 2K, I'm like, oh, I'm feeling all right actually. It takes me a while to warm up. So for me, not going too hard and just warming my body into it is the key.
Is the key. Yeah. So let's get straight into it. We've done the run. I'm going to say something perhaps a little bit controversially. I think you can ruin your race by the first labour. I'm just coming at it from the first race. The first race that I did. Now, bear in mind, I'm a 35-minute 10K runner, and I did the race in 50. I say 58 minutes. Rob says 59. I'm sure it's 59.
Well, which is it?
59.
59.
It's 59 minutes. So what I found is I went off at perhaps 3:30 pace.
Yeah, so like a 120.
Yeah.
400.
Yeah, and I was
so pretty fast. I
was with this fella next to me, and we were chatting. And I was like, "It's all right. It's all right. I can hold these." And then you come into that farmer's carry.
Yeah.
And because the movement is so similar, and you pick up and if you've gone off too hot, and you pick up those weights and you start moving at the same speed, before you know it, it's like you say, you're in debt.
Yeah.
You're in debt and you cannot get it back.
No, you can't recover.
So let's talk about two sets of races here. We're trying to race and we're trying to get to the finish line. We're picking up those farms carry. Would you recommend get to the end, have a rest? Pick up the weights. We've got the weights here. The 24 kilograms.
24 kilo for males, 16 kilo in each hand for female.
Yeah. So we get to these farms. Would you recommend doing one length, take a rest?
No.
You wouldn't. Quite.
No. So for some people, this doesn't come down to as much fitness, but the grip strength. So I've seen people that have struggled with grip and they've got to put it down fine. Yeah. If you can hold the kettlebells for the full distance, hold it for the full distance. Go slow on the run, and it's that catch-22 where you go faster, you're going to burn yourself out, but you go too slow, you've got them in your hands for longer. Yeah. So I always see, my number one piece of advice on Deadly Dozen is you run your first labour, you run your second labour is like steady. Don't attack them. Do not attack the first two labours and the first two
What's
runs.
your RPE at this point?
I'm always at 7-8. You know what I mean? 7-8.
Okay.
So I'm working hard, but I'm not red zoning. So the best way to explain it is that graph where it's like, you fatigue, and then as soon as you get to a certain point, your fatigue levels go up. Yeah. So that's the way it works, is you've got this sort of aerobic work so that it's going along like this, and your fatigue levels are increasing as your effort increases. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, when your effort gets to a certain threshold point, fatigue levels go up. Yeah. So it's not this curve that's just like this linear thing here. It skyrockets, like any graph that you see where all of a sudden...
Is it a hockey stick?
Boom. Exactly. It just goes boom. It goes right up, right? Yeah. And that is what happens with fatigue when it comes to effort. It's not like it's it's getting gradually harder, it's going to harder. It's like, boom, fatigue just goes through the roof. Mm-hmm. And that's what we call the red zone. Mm-hmm. So you've got to be careful. You've got to stay within that. Deadly Dozen is considered to be so hard because it by nature, the short runs and the labours, these exercises will throw you into that red zone. So when it comes to a farmer's carry, you are always... If you can keep hold of them kettlebells, you are always better off keeping hold. Yeah. Right, but not everyone will be able to. No. So you basically need to go as far as you can go whilst you can still do it, and then you can shake off your arms up and down and go again. But yes, try and get it done in one go. The best racers all are doing it in one go, and they're definitely not running unless they're the very best. Yeah. But it's almost like a shuffle.
Would you say, because in ultra running, far running, they say when you get to that steep climb, the effort that it takes to run that steep climb is not worth expending. It's not worth being that match. You might as well walk it. Would you say you get to that farmer's carry and it's worthwhile maybe just walking? Quick walk.
Yeah, quick walk. Quick walk is fine. So if you look at me, I would almost say that I'm leaning towards quick walk. It's not a run. I'm not running on the farmer's carry, not really. Sometimes... it's half and half. I'm definitely not running. I'm shuffling a little bit. It's a little bit of a shuffle. But that's all it needs is you want to get through it fast. A good fast runner can go through a farmer's carry they can go sub 2. It's 240 meters. So you can be around
What's the fast time for this?
Sub 2.
Sub 2.
You can go sub 2.
Yeah.
Some people would get it down to maybe even 90, but around the 2 minute mark, you're doing pretty well. Not bad at all on the farmer's carry. Some people will go longer, but yeah, around 2 minutes, you're doing well, and that's you can be a podium finisher with that.
Okay, so I've got my time in my mind for the farmer's carry. How much is it in distance again?
240 meters.
240 meters. How do I train for that? If I'm in a gym, what are the key components physiologically to make me good at this part of the race?
So
grip strength.
Number one all the time, right, is the SAID principle, specific adaptation to imposed demand. And the bottom line is if someone says to me, I want to get better at pull-ups, do pull-ups. Want to get better at press-ups, do press-ups. Want to get better at farmer's carry, do farmer's carry.
Yeah.
And obviously do it heavier, practice heavier. So obviously do a lot of farmer's carry, but there's only so much you can do. Now you've got strength development. Clearly anything that is a barbell lift, like a deadlift, a rack pull, that's going to completely overload the strength. So you will have huge benefits from lifting considerably heavy. If someone can do a 200 kilo deadlift, or you can pull 120 kilos for 5 to 8 reps or 10 reps, that's going to develop real strength in your forearm muscles, even your biceps and through into your back muscles. That's going to have a huge impact. Your traps are very important. As you're deadlifting, people often get sore in the traps, or you do a lot of farmer's carry, you'll be sore in your traps, you'll be sore down your arms into your forearms. So heavy barbell lifting, single arm rows, there was an old variant called the croc row, which was just a very upright position, heavy as you can, and just row it for 20 reps. Yeah. High rep single arm rows. Any rowing exercise, any deadlifting exercise, anything that's a heavy weight in your hands is going to transfer to farmer's carry. And then just doing the farmer's carry regularly in the labour fitness or circuit training that you're doing. Obviously as well, dead hangs, pull-ups, so all of these different training exercises are going to be great for farmer's carry.
Grip strength's key. Grip strength's key. Knowing how it feels to walk that distance with that weight. I've seen a lot of people, you see these videos on Instagram talking about the best way to do things in high rocks and this, that, and the other. A lot of people are talking about one arm farmer's carry, so just get an overload of the weight.
Yeah, so it's a unilateral, so one-sided. So what's going to happen is it's going to pull and you're going to work your core more.
Right, okay.
So it's basically an anti-lateral flexion. If this is lateral flexion, then it's an anti-lateral flexion.
Yeah.
So you're sort of resisting your spine bending sideways.
Right.
So it's anti-side bending.
Okay.
So all the core muscles, so your obliques and your quadratus lumborum, your lower back muscle, is going to pull you back straight.
Okay.
So it's going to be a single arm carry, like a suitcase carry, is going to be fantastic for your core.
Yeah.
And great exercise, but the thing is there's so many ways this is going to catch. So someone will say dead hangs, body weight, hang from a bar, single arm hangs, holding the weights in your hands and simply holding them.
Yeah.
But you've got to look at your training program and say, right, my training program is not going to be farmer's carry every day. So what other things can I lean into? I've got a strength training day. Well, let's really focus on, heavy deadlifts or rack pulls. Let's get some single arm rows in. I'm going to really build that grip strength. And sometimes it can add that motivation. If I know I need better grip strength. So when you're doing them single arm rows, it's not just about building your back, your rhomboids and your lats. It's about building the grip strength. And that can be a motivator because you've got a purpose.
Yeah.
So rather than it just being, I want bigger back,
it's
I want stronger grip.
Yeah.
So when you're doing them rack pulls and you don't feel like doing an extra 2, 3, 4 reps, well, all of a sudden, because my grip's hurting, or I'm doing an RDL Romanian deadlift, all of a sudden, it has meaning. You add meaning behind your training, then it's motivating. And that's the key to, rows, deadlifts, do them extra reps. On your final set, for example, if you're doing 4 sets of 5 on a deadlift, on your final set, as many reps as possible. And it's just hitting a rep PR. And then you can start recording that, right? This week I was only lifting 60 kilo. I've not hit a new 1 rep max in weeks, but actually the final set of this 60 kilo deadlift, I've done 12 reps rather than 8. Well, that's a PR.
Yeah.
Again, it's more motivation. So that's a good way to do it.
Okay, so we've got that, we've nailed that, we've got a time of around that 2 minute mark.
Between 2 and 3, yeah.
We're coming out of farmer's carry, and I'll look back at my single attempt at the race. I was done at this point.
And that's a 35-minute 10K runner.
I was looking around, I could see Rob just about to start. I knew I was in trouble at that point. But had I got the race right, I'm coming into my second run.
Yeah.
What are you saying here? Are you saying take a bit off?
I chill, yeah.
Yeah.
So first run, I'm like, right, steady. Like, so whatever you feel like pushing that little bit further on the first run, hold yourself back a little bit.
Yeah.
Because everyone's different levels, but I'll be at about a 3:10, 3:20 if I want. If I go on a first run, I can get it at, say, that 3-minute K, just over. I can feel comfortable when I first start. It's going to be like a 1:10, 1:15, 400. So I've got to really pull back and go, halfway around this track, it'll start catching up with me.
Yeah.
So I've got to pull back.
Yeah.
Even though all the temptation's there. Farmers carry, I pick them up and I don't drop them. So I can comfortably get through the distance. If you can't, put them down, shake off, go.
Yeah.
Everyone's different. Now, on the farmer's carry, I just shuffle along. I don't try to run. I just get a sense of urgency while I'm shuffling.
Yeah.
I go on the second run, again, I'm chill. I'm warming up to this race.
Yeah.
So I'm running hard enough to go, what I want to be is between 90 and 2 minutes. I don't want to be going over 2 minutes on the runs. And I'm like, right, but it's comfortable-ish. And also realising one key point is sometimes you don't feel good early on in a race.
Yeah.
So don't let that demotivate you, because sometimes you don't feel good and you're like, oh, I'm more out of breath than I should be, and you get in your own head. Yeah. So never do that, because sometimes you don't feel good at the start, even if you're not pushing that hard, and you warm up into it and you're like, wow, I'm starting to really get into it. Most people have been on runs where they're like, oh, I feel horrendous, and actually 5K in, they get a second wind. So don't get in your own head early on. As you come into the deadlift, this is, again, another exercise where, for me, I can do them all in one go. But deadly dozen is, unlike some other other fitness races, some of the labours are worth splitting up, even if you can do them in one go.
Yeah.
So you might be able to do 60 deadlift, but it's a lot, 32 kilo for men, 24 kilo for women. You might be able to do 60, but it might be advantageous for you to do 3 sets of 20 or a 30 and a 30, just to give yourself that little bit of respite. So I come in and I just grip it with the tops of my fingers, like a hook grip like that.
Yeah.
So it gives me them extra few inches rather than gripping it.
Yeah.
So I've got long arms anyway. I'm built like an orangutan anyway. But yeah, if you look at the hand there and it's just in the fingertips, because I've got a strong grip.
Like that.
As soon as you go like that,
you've got extra distance.
2 inches at least,
like that.
It's the same as when you wrap a barbell with a strap. You actually give it a little bit and you just hook the strap with the fingers. You don't need to pull it tight and have your full hand on it, So I can do 60 reps, no problem with the deadlift. But I don't try to rush it. Don't get me wrong, the best people, like a Dave Park, and he's repping it like there's no tomorrow. He's banging it down like he's trying to bounce like a basketball. I don't see at this stage for me to try and rush it. It's just rhythm and breathing, anatomical breathing, because a lot of people will forget to breathe. So you can breathe biomechanically, where during a barbell you'll go deep breath in, Valsalva maneuver, which is creating pressure, and then you hold your breath the entire time. Anatomical breathing, or breathing with the movement, you might breathe on the way up or the way down, and you might sort of just regulate your breathing. So this is where I just trying to get in a smooth rhythm, good sense of urgency, but not trying to push too hard.
So all right, let's break this movement down first of all. What muscle groups are you engaging when you get to this? Vanessa always says to me, squeeze your bum, squeeze your bum, squeeze your bum. Is it primarily glute strength, or is it coming from?
Well, deadlift's a total body exercise per se.
Right, okay.
But it's so every leg. As soon as you're bending your hips and your knees, you're working all your leg muscles, right? So for a deadlift, it's a hinge exercise. The more you bend your knees, though, the more quads. So your quads are going to work. Okay. And the more you bend your knees, so the more you squat down to the weight, the more quad thighs it's going to work. The more you bend at the hips, so you could do it with straight knees, then it's going to be very much a hamstring. So posterior chain is the muscles up the rear of the body. Hamstrings and glutes. So glutes is your buttocks. And then obviously that continues to your rectors, your rector spinae or your paraspinals, which are the muscles that run all the way up your back, and you've got your QLs at the bottom as well. And obviously you've got your lats and everything. So you're gripping that, your forearms are working, your biceps, and even your biceps and triceps are both engaging, even though they're pushing and pulling muscles. They're sort of engaging, they're contracting. Your trapezius muscle up here is, if that's engaging, that's contracting. Your latissimus dorsi is engaged. So all of your back muscles are engaged. All of your arm muscles are engaged. But primarily, the prime movers is the posterior chain. So hamstrings, glutes, back. And then obviously your quads are working hard as well.
Yeah.
Now, if you squat more into it, so you sort of squat down, bend the knees more, there's going to be a little bit more emphasis on the quads.
So you can do that. You're not going to get a no rep for that.
You can change either way.
Okay.
So you can,
well, we've got the weight here. Let's have a quick look at it.
Should I grab the lighter one?
Grab the lighter one.
Right,
yeah.
so
you've had a tough day.
I've had a tough day. So the end of the day, I could do a stiff leg. I could do a complete hinge. So I could hinge at my hips like a door hinge. I could completely hinge.
Yeah.
Yeah, hips going back. I could grab that weight and just reiterating the grip. I sort of grip it like this.
Yeah.
And obviously, if I gripped it like that,
it's different.
Bigger grip, but I gain a few inches there.
Yeah.
So I could be like a stiff leg here.
Yeah.
And I could stand up straight.
Yeah.
And I could go back down. And especially if I get my hips right back, you can see how that's going to work the hamstrings.
Is there any benefit to that, doing it that way?
Well,
is there any benefit to sort of then opening up your stance a lot?
So basically, if you could come here and you could squat down like this, which is going to be a lot more quads, you can see. So the quads extend the knee, so they're going to work the knee.
Okay.
Now I go wider.
Yeah.
What's going to happen, the adductors, the inner thighs are going to be working a bit more. Because what's going to happen is, them inner thighs, what's happening is you can see not only my knees extending this way, through that sort of sagittal plane, as we call it. I don't want to get too technical. But you're also starting to extend through the frontal plane, this plane here, right? So we're pulling in. So these are always working.
Okay.
So whenever we squat, whenever we deadlift, all of this is working.
Okay.
Now, what happens is more hamstrings.
Okay.
More quads.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
More adductors.
Right.
They're always working, so these are your inner thighs. So if I go a bit wider, no, you cannot take the mick.
Sumo.
You can't go too much like this, right? Because people start just being like this.
Okay.
Yeah? Because
when
technically,
will
if I got
get
into the splits, when it's excessively wide. So we've got mats. So as long as you're wider than, if it can be slightly wider than shoulder width, absolutely fine. Shoulder width being here.
Yeah.
So if you go a foot outside of that, that's fine.
Okay.
It's pretty obvious to a judge when someone starts doing this.
Yeah.
Right, they're outside mats, they're in the box splits.
Yeah.
So we're here.
Yeah.
Now if you want to take a wider stance and you want to squat more, extend at the top.
Yeah.
All the way up, hips extended.
That's a full
shoulders,
extension.
full
That's
extension.
A full movement.
Kettlebells to touch the floor.
Okay.
So we're up and we're down. If someone's here, so sometimes what I might do is I might do a few more hip dominant. If it starts to tire, I could use my quads more. So you see I'm using my quads.
Okay.
My quads are starting to burn.
Yeah.
It's going to work my back harder. Now, deadlift doesn't. It's quite back dominant.
Yeah.
So you've got to be careful.
Right.
So if you're doing a lot of hinging and squats, which the weight's here, and you're still doing quite a lot of hinging, and all that load on your back, you've got to watch that lower back's going to tighten up.
Okay.
So sometimes putting the emphasis on the quads is going to be deload the back.
Okay.
So this is where, like, you can absolutely, if you drop a pencil, you can absolutely pick a pencil up like this. You know, you can bend, you can twist. But when we're lifting weights for high reps, sometimes if you're lifting something that's heavy, it makes sense that you're going to put a load of stress here.
Yeah.
Because all technique is distributing load.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I want to work my back, then I can absolutely grab a dumbbell and rotate, and I'm going to work that left QL. I'm going to strengthen it. I'm going to work all the muscles of the spine. Now, if I want to lift a weight, it's not necessarily just about reducing injury risk, but it's like I want to lift in a way that maximizes the amount of muscles that are getting involved and minimizing excess stress on a specific structure. So if I wanted to minimize the load that's going through my back, I'm going to squat more.
Okay.
And I'm going to concentrate on these quads really driving this weight up.
Yeah.
Now, if I wanted to take the quads out of the equation, that's when I'd hinge.
Right.
But there's going to be a lot more load on the back.
Okay.
You know? So this is where a lot more on the hamstrings in the back, a lot more on the legs. And it's completely up to you. Now, what I would suggest for most people is they run into deadlift, take a slightly wider shoulder width stance and a little bit in between. So you're going to be here, extending, touch the floor, extend. That's a deadlift.
Yeah.
You know, it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good all-round deadlift. And what we tend to see is, I do this a bit and I get picked up for it, is this. Yeah, not fully extended. You got to get that extension.
Yeah.
Get them hips through.
Yeah.
And that's often when people say, you know, squeeze the glutes. You know, it's sort of extend the hips.
Yeah.
You're not really creating much force that transfers into the weight at that point. That's really just about, you know, people used to lean right back. You know, by the time you've got here, that extra little bit. But it's a good cue to sort of finish a lift for people, especially the deadlift. It'll ensure you can't have bent hips and squeeze your buttocks. If I squeeze my bum, it strains my hips.
Right, okay.
You know, so if someone's in a plank position, if you want their back to be straight, you know, someone's arched up, squeeze your glutes. Squeezing your glutes will straighten your hips. So my suggestion is training for that, obviously heavier weights, but you've got to get good at repping. So we had a guy in here that could pull 250, almost 300 kilos. He did a sim, he had to break it down, a 32 kilo kettle, he could lift 10 times that weight. He had to break it down in sets of 10 because he was tired. And when it comes to muscular endurance, strength is the foundation. Like the stronger you are, you get Eddie Hall or world's strongest man or woman and give them a light weight, they'll do loads of reps of it. But fundamentally, to get good at something, you have to do that thing. So lifting heavy or being strong is not enough. You have to be able to tolerate. It's like being a runner. You know, you might be the fastest person in the world, but you're not going to be good at 10K without running the longer distances. So you have to get the reps in. Get your kettlebell deadlifts out and do your 60 reps, do your 80 reps, you know, do workouts where you're working for 2 minutes and just like, how many can I do? Because you have to accommodate to the stresses that are going to be placed on you. And this is why Deadly Dozen catches so many people out, because they're like, I'm strong, they're baby weights, I'm a good runner. You know, 30-minute 10K runners, you've got guys that are pulling huge amounts of weight, and the Deadly Dozen, they're finishing it and going, it's the hardest thing I've ever done.
I will say it now. And I've done a lot of different races, a lot of endurance races. I got to end that race and I was like, it's the hardest thing I've ever done. Because I've red zone for that period of time, but I've never had the mix of different muscle groups having to work. You've said before, you send blood to where the muscle's working. And all that in one race is just, it's a lot.
Well, we got tagged in a story recently where people are asking AI, they're saying which is harder, Deadly Dozen or High Rocks, or High Rocks or Deadly Dozen? And AI is coming back and saying Deadly Dozen is considered to be like one of the hardest races, or the hardest race, because the nature of it, like huge muscle pumps from high rep activities and then short runs. And the amount of people that say to me, oh, I do them weights easy in the gym. I'm like, yeah, but you sat on a bench, like you stood there for one set of 10 and you're like, these weights are easy. Or you see them in here doing it sometimes. They'll come in and they'll go, what is it? Is it 60 reps of this? And then they'll do a few. You know, you were doing it. I was literally watching him and he's like, yeah, it's all right.
I'm all right with this.
Yeah, that's fine, that. And I'm like, do a 400 first and do a 400 after it. And that is, honestly, and it's that there's a meme for it, just a smug smile. The comments of everyone going, baby weights, then weights. One person said bear crawl. What's the point in even a bear crawl? It's crawling, that's easy. And I was like, well, thousands of people have told us it's like the hardest thing they've ever done. But it's not always about it being hard. It's about, for us, it was about it being completely accessible. Movements everyone's doing, the equipment's accessible. And we wanted 3 different carries. So you've got farmer's carry, front carry, or baby carry, and an overhead carry. We've got the key movements like the squat and the deadlift. I thought the farmers worked really well to start because, like where you went wrong really, but I think it's a good start is you run round and straight away the first thing you do is pick a set of weights up and go.
Is that something that you designed? Did you design it with that in mind?
I wanted it to be something that felt good, and maybe it's because I don't warm up that I almost wanted it to feel like, right, first run, then I'd wait and run or walk. I remember doing a sort of Deca sim, and the first thing was the lunges. I was like, oh, I don't like lunging straight away. The first thing I'd do is not a weight. I don't want to do a weighted lunge straight away. That's like, it's always been a secondary exercise that I warm myself up, warm your knees up for that, to go fast on a lunge. And that's where we'll go into on the next one, which is when we get into lunges, that's the point where no matter how fast you go, this is going to hurt. So this is where you can start actually not thinking about pacing yourself. That's the transition. But yeah, it was absolutely by design that I thought, right, go for a run, then you're picking up weights and you're moving still. Second exercise is deadlift. Now, I thought long and hard about, do I pull the weight plate exercise, clean and press to this position? But I thought, no, because the deadlift is very back heavy, lower back heavy, which is the good thing. I wanted it early in the race. I didn't want people to fatigue too much to the point where, you know, some people do get backs that get a big pump or they've had a tweak before. So I wanted the deadlift to be early in the race rather than later in the race, just so people were a little bit more fresh. Not that it's weights that are particularly high risk. We've got incredibly low risk of injury, but I wanted it early in the race. I didn't want people's back season up later in the race if they think, right, I've just done 8 400s, 9 400s and 9 exercises and now it's 60 deadlifts. You know, I thought, right, let's have it as the second exercise to warm up the hamstrings. I didn't want the squat too early. I wanted the squat a bit later on. Yeah. So everything was, like I say, when I say I've done the race 5,000 times, that is an exaggeration, but I have done it over 100 times easily. Yeah. Because it was literally every labour has been drilled and drilled and drilled and drilled. Yeah.
And now you're at a point where you race this race, don't you? You don't do the race to complete it. You've done that, you know, like you say, thousands of times, but you race this race to get better, to get quicker. So you are always thinking, where can I save a second? Where can I save 10 seconds? Where can I save more and more time? And that'll build up to a good cumulative time. But one thing that is always going to slow you down in the labours is if you're no repped. So we've got to make sure the standards are right. And we talk about this a lot. We've talked about that movement. The legs aren't super wide. They're in a shoulder width position.
Or slightly wider, yeah.
Or slightly wider. And it's a full extension. We've heard it talked about. Is it loose hips?
Yeah, just not loose hips. You want to get them hips extended. Yeah. So lockout. It doesn't have to be leaning back, shoulders right behind the kettlebell. Just a clear extension. The rules are actually really simple, right? And the rule book was written in a way where it was intentionally simple, right? Kettlebell touches the floor, hips and knees extend. Just extend your hips and knees, right? Hold the kettlebell however you want. Like goblet squat, hold it however you want, as long as it's not on your back. It's held to the front, above your hips. Doesn't matter what way you held it. Farmers carry, pick them up. You can't hold them like handbags. You can't put them on your shoulders, but pick the weights up and walk with them or run with them. So it's intentionally simple. Now, the problem we have is face value is everyone. There's a lot of people that text us and say, I can't do this, can't do it. If someone texts us and say, you know what, I can't touch my hips to the floor, knee to the floor, I can't extend my elbow, fine. First and foremost, we're an activity for everyone. We want people to enjoy. Now, on the other side of the coin is we are a sport that we want to be seen like a sport, like a competitive activity, and we've got elite people. And standards need to be maintained. Now, what happens is, yes, there are people that might try and cheat, and there's people that take the mick a little bit and push the boundaries. But more often than not, it's just good fit people rushing it. Like when you film me, when we've seen videos of me, I'm like, I'm not quite extending there. I'm not quite doing that. I'm not quite here. It's just rushing. Yeah. You need to slow the labours down a little bit and make sure you're doing properly. And some people turn up that are like elite or whatever level, and you look at them and you go, wow, every rep they do is perfect. Yeah. Every rep I do is not perfect. I'm the race director, but it's you're rushing a little bit. And all we need to do is it's more head judges that are just say no, no, no. It's not the counting judges that are there. It's having people that oversee the race. But there's always going to be overview of different standards because not everyone's at that level and they're just there to participate. And yes, we want to keep an overarching standard, but a lot of people email to say, look, I can't do this, can't do it. Yeah. It's fine. Yeah. We are for everyone. We are a fun, inclusive activity first and a sport second. Now, when it comes to the sporting side, we are going to put, which we'll talk about, we're going to put over £250,000 into judging next year to make sure we can do the best job we can. Yeah. But realistically, when it comes to elites, people shouldn't be blaming the elite should be doing it right. Yeah. Yeah. And there needs to be a culture set where the labours are done. We all know how to goblet squat. Yeah. All of these movements are simple. That was by design. And therefore, we just need to build a culture of really good judging, but also build a culture within the athletes where actually you're rushing and you're competitive. Like me and Rob compete against each other and stuff. And sometimes when you're side by side and you're both doing deadlifts and that person's moving a bit faster, you start not fully extending. Yeah. And it's not because you're a terrible person. No. It's because you're rushing. Yeah. And that's what we'll work to do. Yeah. And we need to improve. But we'll do that. So the takeaway from the deadlift is we should break this down into 20s, maybe 3 sets of 20? It depends on your ability. So the top people will do it in one go. I would say for most people, break it down. Some people do, right? So this is the way a lot of people do it, right? If you want to do 10s, you can. Yeah. Some people do 20, 20, 20. Yeah. Some people do 30, 20-10.
Yeah.
Some people do 30-30.
Yeah.
So it's almost like 30-30,
Yeah.
20-20-20,
Yeah.
30-20-10.
Yeah.
Like they're the really common
I
ones.
think they did 20-20, 5-5.
Of 20-25-5. And there's so many ways to do it.
Yeah.
And actually, you could drill it in the gym. You could drill it on a
Yeah.
sim. And when it comes to race day, like me and the goblet squats, I had a plan with the goblet squats and it changed.
Yeah.
Goblet squats are the one labour for me that I have to break down.
Yeah.
And I always probably will.
Yeah.
Some people don't. But for me, 16 kilos, 60 reps, mid-race.
Yeah.
I break it down.
Yeah.
I try to get about 20 to 30 at least in the first go. I don't like to do less than 20 in the first go.
Okay.
But sometimes you hit it. But we'll go on to that.
And then the pro tip is the two pro tips is that finger extension. Just to,
I think just fingers on if you've got good finger strength. Not everyone does.
Okay. And then the other thing is if you're feeling a little bit like you need to give the quads a rest, open up your.
So basically, if your quads need a bit of rest, just do more of a hinge dominant deadlift and work your hamstrings a little bit more.
Yeah.
Farmers carriers try and grip it and try and work through it. Try and get the whole distance in one go.
Okay.
Sense of urgency. That's what I have in my head. Just going with a sense. I'm not running. Just sense of urgency on the first two.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's golden.
All right. So we've completed 2 runs at this point. 2 runs.
2 runs.
We've completed 2 runs at this point, and we've completed 2 labours. We are 15% through the race, thereabouts.
Yeah, something like that.
15%. Yeah. Let's call it 15% through the race. We should be at a position now where we're ready to attack the race. We shouldn't be red zone thinking, "Holy hell, how am I going to hang on for this?"
No, we should.
We feel like we can just take it on.
Don't get in your own head by going, I don't feel good. It's the worst thing you can do at the start of the race because sometimes you don't feel good. You feel more out of breath than you should, and that's fine. So don't get in your own head, but you don't want to be red zoning at this point.
Yeah.
We're coming towards the lunge, which we'll go into, but this is the time that there's certain exercises like burpees, like bear crawl, they're going to suck.
Yeah.
So these are the points now where deadlift doesn't get hard, where you've got to push.
Yeah.
So lunge, in my opinion, is one of them.
Yeah.
You've got to start pushing. And there's certain points throughout the race where you go slow, it's going to be as hard.
Yeah.
So it's worth just pushing, grizzing it. Your next run might deficit a little bit, but actually, you're better off. Because some labours, I do this on the push press. It's one of my strongest ones. Now, if I go hell all in on the push press, it's actually going to tire me a lot more than it could if I took a break, and the run will deficit. But I can be so fast on the push press that it's worth taking an extra 20 seconds on the run.
Yeah.
Because I've got the push press done so fast that it absolutely red zones me.
Yeah.
But I've done it so fast that I can take longer on the run. Okay. And some of the labours are like that. Yeah. Where some of the labours it's worth having the odd rest because then you can go out and attack the run. Others, actually, for what you're gaining in energy from slowing the labour down, you could just get back on the run. So it's what makes fitness racing so interesting, and it's what makes pacing the deadly dozen so interesting is because it's 12 different exercises and 12 runs. It's a very complex thing to pace.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting one because it's what? How long ago did High Rocks come to this?
2017.
So sort of pre that, a race was a start and you continue on the same activity.
It's monostructural.
Until you get to the end of the race. And it's a case of you using the same muscle group, probably using the same aerobic or anaerobic engine to get there, depending on the distance. With sort of fitness racing, now you look at it. I mean, I remember when you go to the gym with your pal or whatever, and you're see if you can smash 10 reps out quicker than he can do it or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of been gamified now. With fitness racing.
We had it so the bottom line is CrossFit was 2000, and we've had obstacle course racing, which was very simple. And when High Rocks first became a thing, I was sort of like, well, this is just. It's an OCR, but instead of obstacles, you've got a rower, right? And that's what it was like. Okay. But you've had early events in, when I've written a book I've recently written, which we're looking to get published, talks about the history right back to ancient Greece. And it talks about, and it's amazing how many events there were around the world and stuff that have different origins. But CrossFit was the early 2000s, and CrossFit can involve anything. So it could involve like a deadly, they could turn around, arguably and say, the first event is a High Rocks. And then the second event is max snatches. And the third event is a 800-meter swim. And the fourth event is an Ironman, right? So they can involve anything, and it's that methodology, right? And they've done that. But they've always had that complexity, which makes CrossFit what it was, which was lots of Olympic weightlifting, lots of gymnastic movements, lots of high technicality. Now, if it wants to be simple, it can be. A CrossFit WOD could be just goblet squats, dumbbell push press, burpee broad jumps, if it wanted to be. But what Hyrox did was truly turn it into a race. It was fitness sport CrossFit, and it was a race. But Hyrox truly made it that half marathon, that 10K. Yeah. That's why it became so successful, because that's why people will say now, right, CrossFit's a methodology and Hyrox is a race. But it's fundamentally Hyrox did do what became the product. The reason it's become so successful is because they did just go, okay, let's look at CrossFit and let's take gym stuff.
Yeah.
And truly make it into a race, truly make it a race.
They took the skill element out of it.
Took the technicality out, what I called conventional fitness racing, which is low strength barrier to entry, low technical barrier to entry, A to B. It's not a stage race, more like athletics where, right, you're doing it, working up to a rep max, then you're doing like a Metcon workout, then you're doing endurance, or maybe it's a Cooper test, then it's a mixed modalities thing. That's like a sort of athletics, and you've got battle cancer, different models. It was truly, we want to finish it. You go over a start line, a timing mat. Yeah. You do your race in the middle. You go over a finish line timing mat, and it's truly a race. It has that start and finish. Even though a CrossFit event does have that start and finish, it's far more workout WOD based, with heavy lifts often and technicality. So Hyrox came up with a formula that wasn't completely novel, but as an entire package, it was, and it was very much, which we've obviously been inspired by, and Decker was early on as well, obviously. So, there's credit where credit's due. Run, exercise, run, exercise, run, exercise. Mm-hmm. That was a model that has become what is fitness racing. Yeah. So to me, fitness racing is the umbrella, where everything from CrossFit, OCR. So originally I was saying there's specialist fitness racing and there's conventional fitness racing, where they take away all the technicality. But all of these things fall under fitness racing, or gym sport, whatever you want to call it. But fitness racing is the term I prefer. It's fitness, which is all components of fitness combined into a race of some form. You're racing someone else. That is the sport of fitness racing. They all fall under this category. Yeah. Hyrox and Deadly Dozen are brands. CrossFit is a brand, but it's very much got a training methodology. I like to see Deadly Dozen as a methodology. It's just fundamentals, simple stuff, racified, gamification. And Hyrox nailed it, and off the back of that, we're getting more hybrid events. And Deadly Dozen, I've told the story before, looked at everything, looked at CrossFit, looked at it all, and looked at why Hyrox was so successful, and went, there's 100,000 athletics tracks around the world. What does every gym have? They have dumbbells, kettlebells, and weight plates, and obviously everyone's got body weight. Let's do the things that I've been teaching youth athletes and general gym goers and athletes of all levels for over a decade now, and for a decade before that in the military. And let's create the most accessible, scalable fitness race in the world that ends up being by far the hardest, even though it only takes us, a couple of hours to set the race up. Yeah. Yeah. You do this race and it is gonna be the spiciest thing you've ever done, while at the same time, everyone can do it. Because that was the model, and that was the model that Hyrox truly nailed, and Decker got right. The difference with Decker is lots of specialist equipment, which I really respect. Yeah. But it's different. What Deadly did was go dumbbells, kettlebells, weight plates. Yeah,
yeah. Now, one of the reasons that I wanted to do this set of videos is because, coming from a race background, I wanted to race the race, and I wanted to understand the race. I wanted to break it down and work out how it works. So at this point, when I'd done the race, I was done. I was hanging on. I was not going to race it. I was going to finish it. So I'd finished racing at this point, and I was just participating. I wasn't participating. I was surviving at this point. Yeah. So this set of videos is going to be a set of videos for anybody coming into the race. Perhaps they've done it once before. Perhaps they want to see if they can better their time, or just somebody coming into the race that wants to find out what it's all about. So I think we've done that today. Like I said, we're at 15% of the race completed. We're just about to start our third run. What are the next two labours that we're going to be talking about?
So it'll go into the dumbbell lunge, and then it'll go into the dumbbell snatch.
Yeah. So to complete those, we need to be at a point where we've still got a little bit left in the tank. We've not red zoned, we've not overspent, we're not hanging on, we're not in debt. We've got a little bit left in the tank and we can start pushing on now. Would that be about right?
Exactly that, yeah.
Okay. So the next 2 videos will be lunges,
lunge and snatch.
lunge, snatch, and 2 runs.